Hello, everybody. It's the Five Hard Podcast with John and Brett Baker because Greg's not here, that son of a bitch. How's that for a start? I am fired up because we're doing this on Wednesday night because Friday night we play the biggest game in the history of Nebraska football ever against the Illinois Fighting Illini. How you doing, Brett?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I am not too bad. I'm ready. I'm ready for my team to run through a brick wall for me.
So maybe you're John the properly enthusiastic.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was thinking, what was that meme? The overly enthusiastic girlfriend. Is that it?
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
A classic.
Yeah. Well, since Greg's not here, we're just going to start into it. Why are you here?
Why are any of us here, John?
Oh
One of
my
life's
God!
great
Let's not
mysteries.
go that deep right away. Let me get over the comments so I'm not missing anything. I usually let Greg do this stuff, and well, he's not here. Okay, here's the thing. Last week, Nebraska played Michigan. One of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you and I wanted, to show up is last week Nebraska played Michigan. It was one of the worst games of Nebraska football I'd ever seen. The team looked flat. They didn't look enthused. They didn't look like they looked like, here's the thing. For years I said about Scott Frost's teams, I actually said his name, that they went out and if bad things happened, they just crumpled into little, paper versions of themselves. And I don't necessarily think that completely happened in this game, but it certainly started out really bad. And then it just it was boring. There was really nothing happened other than Michigan ran over us like maybe not quite like a mascot game against little kids, but it was pretty fucking close. And you were there.
Yep.
And you left at halftime.
I did.
You're a fair weather fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, respond to that.
Yeah. Yeah. 53 years old, 41 years of attending games, and that's the first time I've ever done that. Maybe if it would have been 65 degrees and we weren't broiling, in the East stands like we were, maybe I'd have stuck it out. But you know what? Even the way they lost wasn't interesting. I was at the 2004 Nebraska-Texas Tech game when Bo Davis threw 3 interceptions in a row and then fumbled on his 4th pass attempt. And at least that was interesting. That was an interesting way to lose. It was spectacular in its own horrifying kind of way, right? This was just three and out, punt, touchdown for Michigan. 3 and out, punt, touchdown for Michigan. It was, and there were no signs of life. There was no spark, nothing. Even 2 years ago, we had it going into the 4th quarter, and there was you could just see from that opening drive, it was not going to be that kind of day.
So it was horribly hot. One of our guys in Slack Aaron, one of our guys was in Slack, and he was posting that people were passing out around him at the game.
I would believe it. It was. I didn't see that, but it was hot. And I'm usually pretty rugged. I can hang. I've been in a lot of early August or late August, early September games, but that was there. Yeah, there was something about the heat that day. It was just it was rough. And if the football's bad, that's not going to help things either.
Before I welcome Greg in, because he's late. And before we get on to Illinois, I want to ask you, as a guy who goes to the games, now you're still credentialed a lot, are you not?
Yeah, usually for away games, but yeah, I mean, I could be if I wanted to.
Okay, so you've been on the field, you've been up in the stands, you've been all over the place.
Yeah.
Give us an impression as a guy, you're a season ticket holder. Give us your impression as a guy who's been a season ticket holder and a rabid Nebraska fan. What do you think of all this stadium renovation stuff?
I think, I'm glad I moved out of South Stadium 3 years ago when I did. This is my 3rd year up in the 600s in East. It had to happen, and it was always going to be painful no matter what they did. I think if they left the current infrastructure in, it would be like a half measure, and in 10, 15 years, they wouldn't be happy with what they were doing. So I think the idea of blowing it all up, tearing it all out, and starting from the roots up is probably the best call. But it's going to be a rough couple of years and who knows how they're going to deal with the students. Obviously, I hope they get first priority. They should have first priority. But yeah, there's 23,000 seats in that stadium. So what are they going to do with those folks? Is it going to be donor points? My seats are only a $250 donation, so I don't rack up a lot of donor points.
Could you explain to people, because we have people from all over the place?
Sure.
Could you explain to people how that works with the season tickets and the donor points and stuff?
Sure. So there are certain seats in Memorial Stadium that you don't have to donate anything to. They're like up in the upper reaches of the north end zone and the south end zone. The far corners of like the east end zones or East Stadium, probably some obscured view stuff that you could just pay your I think it's $440, $450 for a season ticket. This year it was $100 less because they're celebrating the 100 years. I thought it was just a discount for 6 years of bad football. That's what I took it as. But and then obviously the closer you want to move in on the sidelines, the more the donation gets. So mine is $250. I'm probably at about the 20, and probably the southeast corner of the stadium, and I'm fine there. I love the view. I've got good neighbors. The seat's comfortable. But as you pay more, so we have friends. John Kraske, he is a buddy of mine, and he's down below in one of the clubs, and I know he pays pretty good money for his 2 season tickets, and that's even before he gets the tickets. That's just for the donation to have the right to buy those tickets. So they start adding up donor points. How long have you been a season ticket holder? How long have you been paying the donation? How much have you paid? Do you buy tickets for other activities, other events? And I do that too, but so I don't know how that's going to work. Obviously, the more donor points you have, the more, the higher up you are in their line of, we're gonna take care of you because you've given money to us. So yeah, who knows how it's going to be.
Do you know if they have a list of people they subtract donor points for swearing a lot on YouTube videos?
Yeah, no, I don't know about a punitive donor system. Anything's possible, though.
Okay, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg. Hey, you got here.
Hi, guys.
Okay, we're going to go with this goddamn question. I usually never say that phrase. That's Travis Adair with a super chat. So if Nebraska loses to Illinois, on Saturday, is it time to consider a move to the MAC or the Pac-2?
Mountain West, baby. Mountain West.
Go ahead. Go ahead and answer that. I've seen some comments on that, and
no, it's not.
I'm going to give a serious answer to this question.
First of all, no.
Yeah.
But secondly, I'm all for if we are in fact moving to, a mega conference, the SEC, the Big Ten, and then the lesser conferences, I'm all for relegation and promotion. If you are struggling, if you are unsuccessful, it's time for you to move down and try to work your way back up. Meanwhile, if you're having a hell of a run, see if you can hang with the big boys. Nebraska has proven that we can't hang with the big boys right now.
That's a fact. It's and the one thing everybody focuses obviously on football, it is the biggest thing going. But the Big Ten has been good for Nebraska in almost all the other sports. I mean, basketball has made the NCAA tournament in men's and women's. And the women have had a pretty good run. Track, they're really good. Wrestling, they're very competitive.
Volleyball being the big
volleyball,
one.
Obviously. So I know football gets the load of the attention, the major share of the attention, but it's been good for the other sports. And for those athletes in those, why take them to a different conference just because football is not making it work?
That's really the kind of the key for me is we do have 22 sports, Not all of those are Big Ten sports. I don't think rifles like sanction the Big Ten. Maybe
Yeah, they're
bowling.
like some weird Yankee American conference something.
But here's the thing, because I see constant comments of we should have never left the Big 12.
Yeah, no,
and then the
wrong.
motherfuckers. This is you. We never left the Big 12. Listen, we left the Big 12 because it was a shithole. It's still, maybe now it looks like a conference that is going to at least hold itself together and survive and make some money and be fun. But, can you imagine being a school that said, no, we don't want to compete. We want to go hide under a fucking bed somewhere. So we're going to join a lesser conference. So whenever these people really just gets me, I know they're probably trolling, and they're successfully trolling me. Because can you imagine, we're already kind of a laughing stock nationally. We are. There's a lot of people rooting for us, I think. But at the same time, people love to dig at us, and it's justifiable. At the same time, can you imagine how few athletes would ever want to come to a school that ran and hid from competition?
Well, I want to piggyback, John, on what you were saying about. I think nationally, do the ESPNs and the sports networks and the media companies want to see Nebraska return to prominence? Yes, but I think college fan wise, no. I mean, we're still very much hated, and it's because we were a dynasty. And I fully embracing the fact that I'm using past tense, right? But it's the same thing. It's the same reason I still hate New England. It's when they're at the top of the mountain, unless it's your team, when another team's at the top of the mountain, you can't wait for them to be back, down at wallowing in the mud. And so, I think we will forever be hated for who we were.
Okay, you can take the super tap from Branson.
I will do that. Branson, for $4.99, we gave him a penny discount. The best thing for Nebraska would be to move back to the Big 12. The academics and athletics are more in line, and Texas will be gone next year. This is why I disagree.
Backwards. Yeah, money.
I mean, come on. Yeah. Look at while Nebraska football brought them to the dance, it's every other program that is benefiting from these media rights deals.
Really, go look at our soccer complex. Look at the tennis complex. Look what they're doing for track. Those folks are benefiting big time from Big Ten money, and they should. I mean, those student athletes deserve the best if we can give it to them. So yeah, going backwards, going to the Big 12. Having lived in Texas for the entirety of our duration there, hard pass, no thanks.
Okay,
I remember, Brett. I remember when you were in San Antonio.
Yeah.
You see this, Branson? See this? This is what you're making me do. Okay, my dog's not in here, or she'd be going fucking ballistic that I'm punching her teddy bear in the face. That's what I think of the Big 12. This is her little dog. You can see it's already ripped up. See that? Fucking go back to the Big 12. There's 4 more. I could rough up 4 more fucking stuffed animals that are really huge in here. All right, let's move on.
Hey, John.
What?
Can I bring up something completely unrelated?
Oh, boy.
Well,
why do you always ask that? Why don't you just bring up the unrelated thing?
Well, because I want to make sure I have your permission before I proceed. Remember how you used to say that if I don't teach my kids to swear, then you will?
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you about what happened at daycare today.
Okay.
Remember, I have twins who are not yet 3 years old, boys. And my wife gets a message from daycare saying that Rob has a potty mouth. Now, Rob also has a tendency to not, if he's saying dump truck, he can't get the tr, so it comes out fuck. So it actually sounds like dumb fuck. And if he's saying trash truck, it comes off like fat fuck. And we laugh and we have some fun. And so my wife was asking, well, what's the context? What did he say? Apparently he said to whomever, be it a teacher or another kid, Don't touch my fucking brother.
Hey,
Well,
I got no
my
beef with
God.
that.
He's learned emphasis.
There you go.
That
So-
kid knows what he's doing.
I thought you'd be proud, John.
Yeah, I am. My God.
I wanted to say that while we were enjoying you beating the hell out of stuffed animals.
Yeah. Okay. What's next?
Well, John, earlier we were talking about leaving the game at halftime. And
Yes.
I saw somebody, one of my buddies shot a video of folks literally streaming for the exits. And somebody on there had commented, fair weather fans. And that really, it set me off. Which,
Yeah.
not a difficult accomplishment. But I just thought, what was the point of staying for that? Staying to the end. It was brutal weather-wise. It was brutal football-wise. There was no enjoyment to be had. B, when have we had any fair weather? Tell me when we've had fair weather. It's been since 2016 when we had a winning record and went to a bowl game. And that was tepid at best because we started 7-0 and ended 8-4. So tell me when we've had fair weather. I think it's often to Husker fans' detriment that we are too loyal, that we stay too long, that we attend maybe too much. I do think empty seats sometimes speak volumes, especially at a place where empty seats never happen.
Right.
That would be a scene that would really cause attention. When people are still in the stands, I don't think the temperature can fully be turned up on the seats that need it. Now, that's not saying Matt Rule needs a hot seat. He doesn't. I'm behind Matt Rule. I support what he's doing, how he's going about it, and I hope he is the guy to get it done. And I'm not saying that I was walking out as a protest on what he was doing. It was just he's got a lot to deal with, and whatever he's got to bring to the fight wasn't going to make a dent on Saturday. And so I said, I can watch this indoors in my comfy chair in the air conditioning. I don't need to be here for this. And that doesn't make me a fair weather fan. Man, I flew to Dublin, Ireland to watch Scott Frost piss down his leg against Northwestern. I paid an obscene amount of money for a ticket to Boulder in 2019 to witness Scott Frost pee down his leg. So don't tell me I'm a fair weather fan because I put my money where my mouth is and I've got no return on investment, no ROI. And those are two games I will tell you that if fans could win games for football teams, it would have happened because people were there. They were full throat. They were in it. They wanted it way more than the head coach did. And that's a bad formula. That just can't happen. So to call people fair weather fans for being judicious stewards of their own time and their own bodies is I call bullshit on that one.
You could have stayed to watch eventual national title winner Michigan.
Hey man, I hope they do. I hope they do.
Because they look like most of the other teams in the nation have something wrong with them, and Michigan doesn't look like they have anything really wrong with them. I mean, as long as their starters, not even their, what do they have? Like 4 fucking rows of people that'll just walk in and be a robot and execute their fucking game plans to perfection without committing penalties or turnovers. Why is that fair?
When was the last time a visiting school played 4 quarterbacks and not because of injury? Right? They got down to their 4th string quarterback. I couldn't even tell you who Nebraska's 4th string quarterback is. Probably a walk-on freshman.
It's like Whoosh.
Travis Adair says for $5 a super chat. But still, wouldn't it be time to throw in the towel, though? 3 straight losses to Burt. The bulimia victim is unrecoverable. The Mountain West Conference is looking good.
Yeah, well.
You know what?
I'm also an Air Force fan, so I would love it to see Nebraska play at Colorado Springs.
You know what?
That's one of the more scenic ones.
I was contemplating today that maybe I should make a video about how Stockdale's paradox compares to Nebraska football. And given that response, I'm going to do one tomorrow because it has to deal with living as a survivor and what it's like. and why
Did you
you
say
don't ever throw
Stockdale's?
Stockdale's paradox. You don't have to look it up tonight. I'll do something on it.
There you go.
Okay. Moving on.
We've got some comments, John.
Okay.
That was
Greg,
Enthusiastic.
guess what? I
What?
didn't really have a horrible headache today. You missed that part of the show where I began. It's been actually a pretty good day. Have irritated my fucking family all day long with stupid comments and being overly enthusiastic. So now you people get to deal with this shit.
This is a really good comment by Richard, who says, enough bullshit about changing conferences. The other sports don't deserve to be punished because our football team is shit.
That is
100%.
exactly it. You know,
Agreed.
We do have a bunch of other student athletes that we love.
And you can't tell me watching those matches against Purdue and Indiana, that was fun. Like,
It was.
okay, they got to fight. Let's watch them
Yep.
go. And man, those ladies, they turned it around. They stepped it up and they took care of business. But that's fun. You know, you want to see them play good competition.
You know, it's not the thing with you guys that are commenting. I know Nebraska football feeds our ego. Well, it doesn't lately, but you know, it's the sport. It's the sport. But we do have men's basketball, women's volleyball, baseball. A lot of people love Nebraska baseball. Those are all fun things. And I wish we'd kind of spread this out a little bit more so they wouldn't just lump it all on top of Nebraska football.
There
It'd be
was
more fun, I think, in the long run. Go ahead.
While the brains here were discussing important things, and that's sincere, brains. I almost thought of calling them geniuses, but I had a feeling that might be taken incorrectly. I was monitoring the chats. There was actually comments there about climate controlling the playing surface, retractable roofs, things like that. And Marianne says, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding of the renovation will take attendance out of the games. We just had 92,003 people there. Why would we take people out of Memorial Stadium? This was all about retractable stadium, retractable roofs, upgrades to Memorial Stadium. Now, granted, 92,003 people there for volleyball. They were being very creative on where they were able to place them. We wouldn't be able to, I don't think, get that many in for football. But it's my understanding that with the renovations, their attendance, the maximum attendance will be lower.
Like at 80,000.
Yeah.
I think that's the number I've heard. But, I don't know about you guys, but for me growing up, the loudest I ever heard that joint in that, obviously we haven't had reason to be loud lately, but, I think in 1982 against Oklahoma, I think of 1992 against Colorado, 2001 against Oklahoma. Those days, there was only 76,000 people in the joint, and the walls shook.
Yeah.
So I think the one thing about trimming it down, which is not a bad idea, I think it's a good idea. It's going to be easier to pack the place with 80,000 closer to being diehards than it is with 86, 87, wherever they want to make that number up to be, which we do know they do that. I think having a more distilled, condensed fan base in there will make it a much more intimidating place to play once we're good again.
I think the other thing is important to look forward, 2 decades from now.
Yeah.
The population demographics is going to completely change, and you have to prepare for that. And if you're not prepared for that, then you look like idiots. So there's going to be a lot fewer younger people, and there's probably going to be a population drop or a population that wants to go to live sporting events. So I think making the experience itself better will be better for everybody rather than just having the sheer numbers. And for some reason, people on Twitter really went nuts about it dropping below 80,000 as if this is a giant dick measuring contest with your stadiums or, I don't get that. I think Nebraska football, come on, let's face it. This is a social event. It's fun to go to those games. I don't get to many of them, but it's fun to go to those games. It's fun to be around people that feel the same way about something that you do, even though it's been not that great a game experience in the past few years. And, keeping that alive is more important than just sheer numbers.
Brett, I'm going to let you answer this next question, although I don't know. I don't know the answer. Jod probably does. Does Memorial Stadium have beer sales?
Not yet, but they will. They had him for Garth Brooks. They had him for Volleyball Day in Nebraska. And there was I saw one kid get arrested at Volleyball Day, Nebraska, and I don't think it was for being drunk and disorderly. First of all, nobody's going to pay $9 a beer to get shit-faced in, Memorial Stadium. I've been to Colorado, Minnesota, Illinois, Wisconsin. They all sell beer. Okay. And I've never seen any problem with fans in the stands or whatnot. Nebraska is leaving money on the table. They have been leaving money on the table. So, no, there's no beer sales, but it's coming. They just got to. If revenue is the all important thing, then they're leaving money on the table.
Well,
I mean, I think probably the biggest holdback has been Osborne. Osborne's probably the one pulling that string still, which God love him and thank him for everything he did for us. Because without him, we probably wouldn't even be having these kinds of conversations.
Right.
But there's a time to let go and a time to say, okay, there's a new generation. There's a new time. We got to roll with the times. And, that time's now.
Well, I know you mentioned Illinois. I'll be in Champaign on Friday night for the game. It'll be my third game from Champaign, all Illinois, Nebraska. Yeah, I mean it's everybody's fighting for every extra inch of the 18 inches of bleachers that they can get their butt on, and I mean we need to look. When Memorial Stadium was built 100 years ago, waistlines, butt sizes were a lot smaller. So we need to look. Nobody's going to be going on. Well, let me rephrase this. 90,000 people aren't going to be going on diets to fit into that 18 inches of bleacher. So we have to make some accommodations. If it was more stadium seating, I'd be all right with that too. But I don't see them. That is quite the expenditure. I don't see that happening.
Up in the 600s where I sit, nice and wide. I've never had a problem with, anybody elbowing me in the sides. And then there's chair backs in front of you and behind you, and you have a ton of room. So you don't have anybody's knees in your back. You're not putting your knees in anyone else's back. I think that'll probably size it out that same way in the new South Stadium, which, it's time. It's due. That stadium needs to be redone.
Speaking of the stadium, Mary Annigan says, I disagree. I live 2 hours away from Lincoln. I would love to attend more games, but I can't afford tickets now. I definitely won't if they take seats away. I mean, it is a thing, I think, where athletic departments are saying, all right, whether they're 90,000 seats or 80,000 seats, this is the benchmark that we're going to try to get to for ticket revenue. Do you foresee, I mean, is it just the natural path of supply and demand? If there are less seats available, then the ticket prices are going to go up?
Yeah.
Possibly.
I mean, it's economics. I mean, if they suck, then no.
Yeah, if we remain a 4-8 program, which is decidedly what we are now, you're going to be able to afford all the tickets you want, probably.
Yeah. And I do love, Brett, how you said a little bit ago about the comment that fired you up through social media was that we're fair weather fans, and we haven't had the ability to be fair weather fans, to your point, 2016, but realistically on a consistent basis since the Pelini era. And even then it was 9-3, 10-2, throwing another win or another loss with the bowl game there. But man, those losses just were embarrassing losses. And that those would be, if you're walking out of at halftime when you're down 35 or 40 points to whomever it would have been, that was considered that fair weather. But when you haven't fielded a winning football team for,
right,
as Haas likes to say, since the Obama administration, it's tough to. You're not a fair weather fan. You're a fan. There's not a whole lot of fair weather.
Bo Pelini is one of my favorite point-counterpoint arguments in Nebraska football, because people say, oh, you weren't happy with 9 wins a year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we were happy with 9 wins a year. It wasn't the 9 wins. He wasn't fired for only winning 9 games. He was fired for losing 4 by 70 points each and being an asshole.
Yeah.
Look, how many other FBS programs have offered him their head coaching job? How many other programs?
Wait,
in
people are
the-
listening to this on a podcast too, so you do have to say 0.
Yeah. Okay. It's here. I'm holding up my hand. Yes, it's 0. Yeah. Nobody else has offered him a head coaching job. Why is that? It's not because he could only win 9 games a year.
Right. Marianne, I would say this about the stadium thing. They're not reducing the capacity and they're not doing the renovation to make less revenue. And one of the ways that they're going to also increase the revenue is they have thousands of people who are grandfathered in with season tickets who are not required to make any donations on behalf of those tickets. So they're essentially getting rid of that grandfathering. I don't know if they've announced that specifically, but you know that that's what they're going to do. So they're looking at getting more money out of the people that aren't paying anything extra for their season tickets. And maybe some of that increased revenue will absorb the expense of going to games later on. And, all of this is going to play out and we'll see what happens. So, I mean, it's still, put it this way. They got to raise $450 million to even begin this shit. So right now they have to raise $225 million private.
Yeah.
Did anybody think they're going to raise $450 million if we lose to Illinois Friday night?
And we haven't even finished our current big project.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, this is a very aggressive timeline, and I'm guessing it's probably going to maybe slip. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the Ricketts family will suddenly go, hey, we don't need $500 million. Here you go. Build a dome.
Oh, my. They could play at Seacrest for a couple years. Yeah, just tear Memorial down and start from scratch.
Yeah. Build one of those big globe things. God,
yeah, there we
horrendous.
go.
That just looks horrendous.
What, the Sphere in Las Vegas?
Yeah, just
Oh, it looks so awesome.
Yeah, I'll move on to another subject.
Here's an interesting thought. It doesn't get brought up too often, I don't think, or at least not on this show. But Caleb says if we eliminated grandfathering, they would greatly increase ticket sales right there.
It could be. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Caleb.
Probably. Because there's a lot of folks who are grandfathered into very expensive seats that don't have to pay that expense. And, one of the great lessons my dad taught me that really pissed me off when I learned it was true is that life isn't fair. But how's that fair to the rest of the consumers, right? Like,
right.
Okay, we're sitting on the 50-yard line and I got to pay $5,000 just for the right to buy one season ticket. And you're paying nothing for the right to buy one season ticket. There's got to be a period where that ends.
Right.
I want to bring Mike Schuster's comment in, but I want to preface it by saying I don't know if you also, John, I'm sure you did because it's in the Coronation Slack chat room. Brett, you probably did as well. The nil deal at Utah, where
there's an overlay.
Oh, sorry. It took me a minute to figure out what you were talking about. Okay, well, let's jump to it then.
Click, you bastard.
One of the most lucrative team deals in the 27-month history of NIL, Utah's Crimson Collective leasing each scholarship football player a new Dodge Ram truck. That's a $6 million value. Leases are 6 months and are voided if players transfer or their eligibility expires.
Wow.
So I've
never heard anybody call it NIL, by the way.
NIL?
What have you heard?
Yeah, I just say NIL, yeah.
No, we call it nil.
Okay.
Well, but Mike says, I think get nil money before building stadium.
Yeah. Different, but those are different beasts. Those are different things.
They really are.
That's apples and oranges.
Different pots of money.
Number one, I put that overlay in there, that graphic in there, so I could say things about the Utah nil deal. First of all, the math is wrong. It's not a $6 million deal. These are 6-month leases on $61,000 vehicles. So the real value of it is around $500,000. And I thought more about this and I thought, okay, you're going to have 85 pickups that are $61,000 a piece, 6 months lease on. That's granted that maybe the leases will go for 3 years on some of them, but at least depreciates. Every one of those vehicles is going to depreciate in value. So somebody's eating that depreciation. And I am guessing, just guessing, I'm not a tax lawyer, but football players are going to be responsible because they do get the benefit. It's not an income, but it is a compensation. And in compensation, you have to pay taxes. And number two, I thought, that'd be kind of cool if I was the player that had one of those pickups, but not 84 of my fucking teammates. That's not cool at all. You just look like everybody else. What's the point?
What happens when you go to the parking lot? Where the fuck did I park?
Right.
But think about this. Think about the resale value after the lease is done, because you'll have some diehard Utes fans who
I can buy Cam Rising's truck.
Exactly. Maybe somewhere he autographed it on the seat underneath the drive steering wheel, something like there will be some intrinsic value added to them based on the talent and level of the player who had that particular.
They probably will bang people in those pickups, and you'll hear a banging noise. You can never figure out where it came from for the rest of the life of that vehicle. But who makes the money off that? The dealership's going to make the money off that, not the players. I mean, if I was a player and I was getting a Neil deal, I would probably look at him and say, you know what? That's neat, but I'd really prefer cash.
Yeah.
Or maybe not
the
cash
equivalent.
in a bag
that
nobody knows about. Thank you very much. So, that sounded kind of cool. I don't think in the overall big thing of it, it doesn't really sound, I don't know, that cool.
Mike had a follow-up comment to his own comment. He says the whole point, though, is it's easier. It's going to be easier to get the donations if we're winning games. We can win games through, better, higher quality talent, skill, whatever, through nil. So, one feeds the other, so to speak. So,
yeah, I can see that point. I think the bottom line, though, is just you got to start winning first. All the money in the world is not going to attract a 5-star who goes to Alabama is not going to say, well, I can get $20,000 more in Lincoln where the cost of living is lower. That's not going to happen. You got to win first. So who knows how it's going to come about, but that's what's got to happen.
Travis Adair gave us $2. I'll let you guys split that. And it says your favorite rivalry. And we'll go around the horn.
Colorado, and Missouri. My God, Travis. This is a subterfuge. That's what this is, because my favorite rivalry is Iowa.
I was
There's a man that toes the party line.
I was going to let our esteemed guest go first, John, but
my list is long. Look, man, like I said, I lived in the Big 12 during our entirety in that conference. I cannot tell you how much I hate Texas. I hate Texas with every fiber of my being. I told my daughter, brilliant young woman, she could go to any college she wanted except the University of Texas.
Yep.
I would support anything else but Texas.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to interject. She proved her heightened intelligence by choosing
Nebraska. Yes, she did choose Nebraska ultimately.
Unlike some people on this very show whose children chose, where did Rotten Sun go again, John?
Man, in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where he grew up, right?
Yeah,
There's no
they all turned me down. My oldest son went to Nebraska for a year, but then he decided college isn't for him.
So
he did go for a year.
I hate Texas. I hate Colorado probably the most. I really hate those people. I hate that team. I hate that school. I hate that campus. I hate and that was even before Dion. So yeah, for me, if we could knock Colorado's dick in the dirt every other weekend, I would be just fine with that.
Well, we have stuff to work on before we can knock anybody in the
large issues.
So my choice for this, I'm gonna go a little different. I think the current best rivalry is Nebraska versus Nebraska fans.
Well, that is true, unfortunately.
Yeah, we are eating our own.
Yeah.
And Brian, who we know over at Coronation, and John, you talk to occasionally, says, Sims will start on Friday. Hi, John. Miss you. XOXO.
Aw.
Brian is touring with a band as a backup guitarist, I guess, or as a guitarist.
Cool.
God dang it. They're the
John-
alternative indie rock band, Canvas, Spinal Canvas. Damn it, Brian, put the name of the band up here. I have it on Apple Music, but it's not in front of me. And my memory is shitty. Okay.
So thank you, Brian. A lot of people are answering the question about favorite rivalry. We got Caleb saying Texas. We got also Caleb saying the Scruffaloes. Caleb also says Nebraska versus the fourth quarter. Marianne says, I agree.
That's a new one. That's a good one. I'm going to steal that one.
Marianne also hates Texas with Oklahoma next. And I saw NIU in here somewhere. I don't know why.
Northern Iowa.
Or Northern Illinois. It's hard to say.
Oh, well, I guess it could be Northern Illinois, although I don't know why you'd hate either of them.
I don't know. All right. So we've got a lot of. You can tell I got here late, folks. I apologize. Yeah. I did tell both John and our esteemed guest, Brett Baker.
We didn't hold it against you.
Well, John does.
Yeah. What the hell, Brett? Come on.
But right at the beginning, Highlander Gun says, "Why am I here? I don't have a life. That's why." We appreciate it.
He could be doing worse things.
I tell everybody every week now, it's become a thing. We know you have a lot of entertainment options on usually a Thursday, but tonight a Wednesday evening. We do appreciate everybody who joins us. Marianne, right out the gate, says, we love the Huskers, and the Huskers love you too. That is definitely not a rivalry that we're talking about. Fred says, I'm here to see if John thinks Rule was pissed in his post-game presser. I like the come watch us Friday, see who this team is comment.
I did too. He challenged his team. He put it on him.
He appeared to be fiery.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So we're going to see who shows up Friday night.
Aaron says, you're right. As my boy would say, fuck Texas. I gotta teach him Texas just so he can,
Oh, that's pretty good.
We do put him on like FaceTime with family members when we're saying, hey, Rob, what's this? Dumb fuck. It's great. It's great stuff. I'll try to record that and share it with John. John will appreciate it. All right. Then we have Joel making fun of Bert. Bielema looks like the floating fat guy on Dune. I don't know if either of you guys have seen Dune.
Yes, yeah, but I could use to lose more than a few myself, so I'll refrain from joining in this banter.
Mike says, if we want to be good in the next 3 years, we better land Bricks and Shunke at least next week.
Well, we do need offensive linemen, and we're not going to find them in the portal. Yeah,
no.
That is.
We found Ben Scott in the portal.
We did, but you can't find enough offensive linemen. They're just not available. Offensive linemen, defensive linemen, they don't show up in the portal as much as all the other position groups, and everybody wants as many of those positions as they can get. So it's very difficult to replace. People are like, you should turn over your You can't turn over your entire fucking roster with quality players in a single year using the portal. You just can't do it. So we do need to recruit, and Bricks would be good, especially really good to get.
Well, I want to ask you about
we need guys.
Linemen in the portal, because the traditional mentality around offensive defensive linemen is they need time to develop, put on the right type of weight, right? And so typically by the time that they're maybe getting significant time, it's as late in their sophomore year, maybe junior year, and they're trying to establish themselves. And if they're worth their salt, they may be going off to the NFL. Like, why, again, if they're getting regular snaps and a lot of consistency in production, why risk it in a new, unless they're following a coach from school A to school B, why risk it in a new system?
Right.
I'd agree with that 100%.
Fred with an interesting one here. What is the real Nebraska team anyway? History shows it's been the mistake-prone, turnover-laden mess of the last several years.
Well, last week when I did my post-game reaction of us getting the shit stomped out of us, I said during that video that there would be people talking about Nebraska lacking an identity. We don't lack an identity. Our identity is power football. We don't do that well. Do not confuse not having an identity with something you don't do well, because it's pretty clear for Marcus Satterfield and this coaching staff that they're recruiting tight ends, and they want to run heavier sets with double, what is it, 22 personnel and 12 personnel. That's what they want to be. Are they good at it? No. Do they have to get good at it to be successful? Yes. So, that's where we're going to, what is the real Nebraska football? I think it's going to be, honestly, I think we saw it last week. If we want to be successful in the Big Ten, we want to be Michigan. I know earlier in the season I said we want to be Minnesota. Well, Minnesota sucks. We don't want to be Minnesota. We want to be Michigan.
Well, and Rule said as much last week leading up to the game. Rule said what Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are doing right now is where we want to be. Right. And I think if you can look at Penn State. They might be a little more dynamic with the Pats game, but I think Penn State's the same way. Just big uglies down the middle and giving it to running backs who can thump you. Which, hey, I think all Nebraskans would sign off on wholeheartedly as long as we could get it going.
Yeah.
I would, while we're talking about Michigan, John, your buddy, M. Gaboski, says Michigan got the Remington winner out of the portal last year and our current starting left tackle and center from Arizona State and Stanford. So when you talk about Matt Rule wants to be where Michigan is, where you're a top team and you're pulling top talent from other underperforming teams. Think of it this way: in most sports, I'll defer to Major League Baseball. When you're stacking up for the postseason before the trade deadline, you're trying to make a run. I mean, that's essentially what Michigan did in the offseason last year, or whenever these transfer acquisitions were made. So if Nebraska's good enough, they can bring in award-winning offensive linemen. Just they're not there yet.
I like the fact that M. Gabowski shows up here, but stop humble bragging, you son of a bitch. I got more stuffed animals I can punch the shit out of.
By the way,
you go. You don't want to see stuffed animal violence anymore.
We can't take it. Brian says Spill Canvas is the name of the band that he's touring with.
There you go.
So
all right, I'll look them up.
We wish them all the best.
They're alternative indie kind of rock. The kind of stuff I listen to, actually. Built to Spill, that's who I was thinking of. They're another band in that era. Bonhoeffer, I could keep naming them. Let's move on.
I like Brian's comment here. The Michigans of college football do shop at Bloomingdale's in the portal. The less respected programs that haven't seen a bowl game in 6 years shop at the Target portion. I don't even know if we can go Target. We're very Kmart. Close to Dollar General here at this point.
Kmart.
No offense to Ben Scott and others, I suppose.
Yeah.
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 Oh, here we go. Well, no, you know what? I'm sorry. I put it up there. M. Gaboski, I'm taking it down. You're being too nice in your meanness. We're still mad at you. All right. Fred says, if we lose to Illinois, I hope John punches his stuffed dog while on the toilet. Not that way, dirty-minded people.
Is that guy German? Because that sounds very kinky.
That is a very specific set of desires you have there, right?
A lot of people pay a lot of money for that. I'm just saying.
That'll be at least a $5 super chat.
StreamYard after dark.
My God, if we lose to Illinois, I'm just starting an OnlyFans with that as the theme.
Punching stuffed animals.
Caleb Ward mentioned foster the people. There you go. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you.
All good.
I'm clearing out some of these. Brian also says improve academics by raising admission standards and send the closer to the stupid end of the bell curve kids elsewhere.
I have a problem with this.
Okay.
The University of Nebraska's mission when I was young was to provide a higher education to the high school graduates of the University of the state of Nebraska. When all the fucking universities start doing this shit with, we're raising our academic standards. Fine. For what? So you could show up in some fucking chart somewhere and charge more money? We need people in Nebraska to be engineers and mathematicians and doctors and shit like that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get angry at you, Brian, but the idea that we have to keep doing this to look better, the University of Nebraska needs to provide a mission to the people of Nebraska, and that is to educate their children so that they can go on and be productive members of society in Nebraska. Not so we can look on a little chart of the Big Ten and go, oh, you're last. Them motherfuckers always going to keep us last no matter what we do. Because in their eyes, for most of those states, we're fucking hicks. And we will never change that no matter what we do. There you go. There's my ranty bit about some mission standards. Man.
I like how you just blanketly said, you basically blanket statement said that all Nebraska high school kids are dumb.
No, they need to, you know what they need?
I'm kidding.
They need the opportunity to fail. And we've kind of forgot that. You know, there's a lot of kids that go to school, high schools in Nebraska or anywhere else, and they don't do well in high school. Well, they should have the opportunity to fail at a higher education institution.
100%.
And spend a lot of money doing it.
The door might be easier to get into, but then you got to work your ass off to stay inside.
Yeah.
Nobody hands that degree to you. So if a kid gets to school there and maybe they're on the I was not an overachiever in high school. I can promise you that. But if you get your foot in the door and you get that opportunity, that's where you grow as a person. And like John was saying, we need these young minds and sharp people to stay in the state and kind of reinvest and reinvent Nebraska.
I'm getting hot and bothered.
Very, very soon, David. I
don't even look at this. I'm wearing an old shitty Snoopy t-shirt that I was hiding. I'm getting all hot and bothered.
Hold on. Right idea, wrong comment. John, just for you, Tiger Shark Diver says I'm back and says I'll be on my best behavior.
Well, what the hell for? I don't know. What does that mean? If you're going to ask what like Nebraska is good, what does it mean when Nebraska is good? What does best behavior actually mean?
I don't know. He went on to make some stark accusations about Nebraska's quarterback commit. Says is it Denny Kaling?
Yeah, the kid from Bellevue West
is not starting. He says he's not very good. I'm sorry.
Well,
you know what? At Miller North, I played with 3 NFL players. Well,
okay, you know what? Danny Kaling should get the opportunity to go to the University of Nebraska, play football, and have the opportunity to fail at starting.
Yeah.
All
right. This one's just for you, John, because you're nice and fired up. David Matney says it's now the right time to ask John about changing conferences.
I love you, David.
Oh my God.
There you go.
Aren't you, Brett? Aren't you glad you agreed to come back to this?
Yeah, I should be an hour into my sleep meds by now, but
oh God.
Yeah.
Fred says only John's where toilets meet madness and cursing.
You know, the thing about that is you guys have just seen on video what I've been doing for like 6 years.
Madness and Cursing is a good album name.
Yeah. For years, I've been going into my bathroom, and normally I just stick a towel in my mouth and scream swear words, and then I cry so nobody can hear me. It's the purpose of the towel. And, I'd really rather not do that anymore. So we should talk about Illinois, probably.
There you go.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Joel says that if Harbaugh wins the Natty, he's going back to the NFL.
Yeah, take that. Michigan
Joel's going to go back to the NFL or Jim Harbaugh?
Jim Harbaugh.
Oh, okay.
I should have used pronouns. I don't think Joel's been in the NFL.
Yeah. I know. I was joking. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I know Harbaugh, well, he's got a new deal. I think they just announced today that he's got a new deal. And I know he can wear thin on people. But if he's a Michigan guy and he's making it work, and you've seen that's not always an automatic. He's one of those guys that I know people don't like Jim Harbaugh. I like him because he's weird. I think that's fun for football. I think maybe he's a little hypocritical, but I think almost all Division I head football coaches probably are. But he's a character. He's colorful. He's interesting.
Yeah.
Give me some of that. I'd take that, 7 times a week and twice on Sundays. Not in the NFL.
Yeah. They have Taylor Swift. They don't.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, they do have Taylor to deal with now.
Not as nearly as bad as the Swifties, right? Michael Hansen asked this question a little bit ago. Says, I said last week the Michigan game would be a good check to see where we are. Not ready for big time. This game will tell us how bad we want to win. Is this team a Frost team or a Rule team? I think you got to really say that this is a Matt Rule team. I feel like I just feel like the negativity is gone.
There was not a camp of protesters when Scott Frost got fired. There was not a contingent of players. If you remember when Frank Solich got fired, there were players that we're not going to play in the bowl game.
Right.
There was nary a peep. So trust me, Trev Alberts knew what was up, and I guarantee you those players knew what was up with Scott Frost, and it was time for him to go. I hope, and from what I can see, I think these players dig Matt. I think that they buy into what he's selling because he's the real deal. I mean, I think he is who he says he is, and he follows through on what he says he's going to do. And kids can smell BS a mile away. I coach high school kids every day, and I can tell you kids smell BS. And if Matt was just selling it without having any substance, I think you would see some of that Frost era, not players, but like that kind of play. I don't think that's who these guys are. I think that they've bought in. I think they'll go all out. What that results in, I don't know. But I do think he has them. I think he has the team. So hopefully it is a turnaround situation.
David Matney agrees.
I think the key here is an article or a video that we haven't done yet, and that is how many players in the freshman class have made contributions already.
Well, there's been a few for sure.
We saw the last 4 or 5 years. We saw Frost bring in recruits who left, and they left a lot. And what we're seeing already from Matt Rule is that we're seeing freshmen come in. Now, granted, they haven't had the chance to leave yet, and maybe they will. Who knows? But we've seen contributions early from players. That Cameron Lenhart, he's missed a couple days games. He's going to play Friday, from what I understand, and that guy's kind of contributed.
Yeah.
You guys are supposed to fill in some more players.
Other people. Names.
No, Lenhart's one of those guys. My personal favorite, and maybe as a Nebraskan, I'll get shamed for this. My personal favorite football coach of all time is Bill Parcells. Bill Parcells, when he was with the Cowboys, he used to talk about guys that show up on tape. He says, I don't need to know anything else, but if they show up on tape, they're doing something right. And Lenhart is one of those guys who definitely shows up on tape. He's there making plays when he's in the game and he's healthy. I think, look for those young guys who are like that, who just seem to be around the ball. Luke Reimer was that guy, when he was a freshman and on special teams. Look for those guys. And play them, yeah. I mean, if they're young and they've got the goods, play them.
I think we're going to see Princewell Princewell was another guy.
Right.
Where the fuck is
Princewell? There you go.
Yeah, he's probably see more playing time. I'm guessing as the season goes on, we're going to see a lot more younger players be playing. But he's already talked about playing the freshman wide receivers. Who is it? Malachi Coleman. I don't know if he's going to get targeted. He had a concussion last week. Who's the other guy? Come on. Jalen Lloyd? Yeah. Is that the guy?
I'm going with you on this one, John.
Yeah.
Hand in hand, we're walking together.
I'm terrible with names like that. I can't go down the roster in my head and name off guys. That's just not me. But I was glad to see Dakotas Crawford not have an awesome game against Nebraska. I was like,
Right.
man, that guy came in and got all the nil money and all the deals and made all the headlines and then transferred out. Like, I would have been really pissed if he had a good game against Nebraska.
Okay.
All right. Fred says that this is a rule team. Only the ill-timed mistakes still exist from the previous regime.
I like that.
And as we turn the page towards Illinois, which will probably be wrapping up about 48 hours from now, Caleb says, I think Illinois' offensive line looks worse than ours.
Ooh.
Which is
good news for the defense.
Right.
They look, the whole team looks just discombobulated. They just like, they're still trying to figure out what the hell they're doing. And I think they are still trying to figure out what they're doing on defense because their defense just looks like they're all over the place. So
speaking of the offensive line, one of the guys I think whose career we're proud, I hope it's not the case that we lament it, but Teddy Prohaska, however you say that, it's just, when he came in as a freshman and was getting snaps on that line, I remember that game against going into Michigan in 2021. He was looking like the real deal, and I just worry injuries may have robbed him of what ability he could have really brought to the football field.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, I don't know if he's. Yeah, I don't know if he's. I know he's not at that level now. I'm not sure he's ever going to get back to that level. And I don't know if it's mental or physical or both. So,
in counter to that, Thomas Fedoni, that guy, man, I saw him on the field. I was at Minnesota and I saw him on the field and I was just like, wow, that guy's a unit. I mean, he is tall. And he is built like a railroad spike. And I would not want to meet that guy in a dark alley and he had a bad mood. Because he's ready to go. And I'm glad for him. He's had those injuries that were not easy to come back from. And I think he's doing an awesome job. And it's really stoked to see him getting some, not only playing time that he's earned, but doing something with the time he gets.
Couple of what we needs and then a few more comments here as we were trying to turn the page to Illinois. But Tiger Shark Diver says, guys, we need the Pacific Island connection again.
Oh, man.
And he
Give
says,
me some Samoans and Tongans.
Sorry, I lived in Tonga, and they are stronger than anyone in the world.
He knows it.
So, with that, there was one. All right, so as we mentioned, it's a Friday night game. That's why we're doing this on Wednesday. Largely for clicks and interaction because we don't drop the episodes until the next day. I'll make sure you have time to listen to it and actually click on it before the game's over. So I said to John, I think we need to do this one on Wednesday. I'll be in Champaign Friday night. What's your guys' take on Friday night college football games? Because I personally am not a fan.
I said if they ever scheduled one against the Malcolm Clippers and Malcolm was playing at home or nearby, I will be going to Malcolm's game, and I'm taking my nephew to Malcolm's game. So they're playing at
really Friday night?
Yeah. That's the high school kids' night, man. That's their night. And it's not Nebraska's fault. Nebraska will never play a Friday night game at home. That just won't happen. This is other schools in the league that agree to it. I don't know what Alexa's talking about over there. But can you guys hear that? She's like going on.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I don't know, but
Alexa, stop. That was weird.
Well, they just take off. I keep mine in my bathroom.
There you go. Makes sense.
Yeah, she responds to all my rants, and she.
But yeah, I don't love the Friday night.
I need to call someone for you. That's what I get. That's what I get when I'm screaming in the bathroom.
911.
I realize that in this world where you go back 20 years, well, hell, you go back to when Nebraska was in the Big 12, they weren't going to be on regular TV every week. They were on pay-per-view games and things like that. So I understand that in this 2023 or this evolved product, they're trying to get as many games on as possible. I mean, I've seen more Wyoming games this year than the last decade because they're on later and etc. So I understand it, but it just seems like Friday night you're robbing from the top-notch high school kids who are trying to go for an official visit. You're robbing the recruiting aspect. You're robbing the high school attendance, and it's just, I don't know. College football has always been a Saturday thing for me.
Yeah, I guess it's Friday. I'll watch. I don't have anybody to take to a high school football game anymore.
Well, the reason I ask is Sam Roberts said, I absolutely hate that this game's on Friday because my game starts at 6:00. Sam, we need to have a talk. Are you old enough to be watching this video? He'll miss the most, if not all of it, hoping that I'll be able to watch some of it on the long bus ride home to Lincoln. I feel like we need more information, Sam. It appears that from what I can see of the little picture, are you a kicker? And if so, you can probably watch on the sideline.
Yeah, get some YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Then you can just DVR it and you can join from the beginning.
Let's see. Nothing there. Nothing in the new comments from Sam regarding this inquiry. We wish Sam all the best in
wherever
his
you're going,
game.
give him hell, Sam.
Yep.
As long as it's not against Malcolm.
I was going to say Sam Roberts is not a Malcolm Clipper name to the best of your knowledge.
No, I know other kids. No, it's not one of our guys.
All right. All right. So here we go. M. Gaboski says Illinois stinks. I watched them versus Penn State, and their quarterback threw to Penn State players more than Illinois players. Illinois lost a lot of NFL talent last year.
That is true.
Yeah.
They were loaded last year from the talent side, and which I'm excited for. I don't care. I just want to go. I'm taking my oldest. I want to go take him a good time in Nebraska win. And really, because I live in this state, I don't want to go to work on Monday and after a Nebraska loss.
Can you claim an Illinois state championship if we beat Northern Illinois and Illinois?
Ooh. Maybe if we play a bowl game against, I don't know.
And we'd have to beat Northwestern too, I suppose. But
yeah,
it's possible.
There we go. Yeah, I'm all for it. Now Eastern Illinois, they've produced a couple of NFL quarterbacks. So
head coaches.
That too. Let's see. No. Yep. Yeah. Sam is a kicker. Well, we knew that, Sam. I don't know if Sam's probably a little like
he confirms,
but didn't say where. Probably good for your anonymity. We're not trying to get you in hot water. All right. So I'm excited for this game. This will be, as I said before, probably last week, the second game that my son has attended, except the first one where he's actually been outside of the womb. It's also the second Friday night Nebraska-Illinois game that I've been to. Now, one of those games we lost. We did win the Friday night game back in 2017. So I'm excited to go back. Not a whole lot of excitement in Champaign this week that has definitely not made the headlines, except for the fire last night.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, their stadium caught on fire.
Well,
it was a vehicle, wasn't it?
It was like a side-by-side or gator or something like that was on fire. Yeah.
Not too big a deal.
Oh, Lincoln Northeast.
Go Rockets.
And
you know all these schools.
Well, Northeast has been there forever. I mean, they're one of the originals.
Yeah, well, I grew up in western Nebraska,
Oh, okay. There you go. There's another Go Rockets.
Go Rockets.
Dion says Sam has a scholarship to Iowa. Come on now, Dion. That's not nice.
I am glad that we have the young and the old joining us.
I'm a little concerned for Sam.
Yeah.
It's late. It's a school night, Sam.
And there went my light.
Is it on a timer?
No, the battery just died. It's all good.
Crap.
Yeah, I look like I'm in the witness protection program.
Yeah. Well,
we've been going for an hour and 10 minutes, so
it is about
so long.
It is about kicking. Damn. Sorry, I was reading David Matney's comment about kicking. It is about go time. So a vehicle inside the stadium caught on fire. It's not a problem. It was put out. They're not in. We're going to play in Illinois Memorial Stadium. My seat is not affected, and that's kind of all I was worried about.
All he cares about. There you go.
And I'm fully admit that. So be interesting to see if there are any scorch marks or anything. I'll keep you all posted.
Okay.
But we do know that this is not, as the comments have alluded to, a lot of attrition in the offseason. Again, a lot of guys going to the next level. Illinois is not the same team that they were last year. Nebraska's lost the last 3 to the Illini, including the last 2 to Bert. Is he in his 3rd season? I can't remember. I can't keep it all straight.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
I really just want to beat Bert.
Okay.
Yeah,
Question for you guys. Question. In turnover margin, where is Nebraska nationally ranked?
Ooh. Good defense has not forced many. We got to be close to the bottom, if not the bottom.
Okay, there's 133 teams.
130th.
Okay. Greg,
As for takeaways or turnovers, I'm sorry.
turnover margin.
Oh,
So-
I'm going to say 125.
You knew that for Monday
didn't.
night. Okay, where is Illinois ranked? Where is Illinois ranked? Where do you think?
127.
Brett?
I'll say 131.
We're both tied at 125. So if you're one of those
Wow.
people that laments turnovers, Illinois has done a horrible job. Like M. Gobowski pointed out, Illinois' quarterback has thrown, I can pull it up, but he's thrown an exorbitant amount of interceptions. The other key, I think that's one of the key areas that Nebraska, if you look at it as kind of a wash, if we take care of the ball, that's a big benefit to us. Rushing offense, Nebraska's 13th. Illinois is 78th. Passing offense, we are 125. We don't throw the ball. I mean, we just don't. The passing attempts are very low. They are 60th. Total offense, we're 92nd. They're 69th. Scoring offense, we're 120th. They're 103rd.
Jeez.
Total defense, we are 36th, and they are 109th. So they really, really miss Ryan Walters, who went to Purdue as the head coach. And I think that, if I looked at Illinois and I said, that's the one thing that's different from last year. I know that Chase Brown and who is it? Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Who's their quarterback? God dang it. They lost players, but they also lost their defensive coordinator. And I think they're having a really rough time with that. If we don't win this game, I think my biggest fear is that we're all going to just stop paying attention.
100%.
And as a guy who runs a website and does a YouTube channel, that's my worst fear in the world. other than actually having an OnlyFans where people come in and go, could you please punch your dog some more? That would be, and they're all from Germany. And I have to have a translator.
But here's the thing. The really good news is you have an opportunity to, Michigan's behind you. Forget about it. It's in the past. You can't change it. You have an opportunity to go on the road, get a conference victory, and then you have an extra week to rest up, heal up, prepare for Northwest. You have the ability to start rattling off wins. You have Northwest, or I'm sorry, you have Illinois, the Northwestern. So,
Go ahead.
Thank you. You have Illinois, the Northwestern, Purdue, Michigan State, which is in shambles, Maryland, Wisconsin, Iowa. That's your season right there. The toughest game that you'll face all year long is in your rear view mirror.
Yeah.
Turn the page. And this is why I was okay with not taking the traditional day off on Sunday, because the shortened, they had him up. Matt Rule had him up in practicing full pads, probably contact, things like that on Sunday. You can take a day off on Saturday, this after Illinois, take a day or two off, because you got the bye week, but just come out firing on all cylinders, because even in the game against Northern Illinois, we weren't firing on all cylinders. We won, and that was great.
Yeah.
We definitely weren't firing on all cylinders against Louisiana Tech. Just come out, play. I think play to your strengths and play to your ability. We were outmanned and outgunned against Michigan. I'm not disputing that. But I think we're still a better football team than Illinois. So come on out and play that level of football that you're capable of. And what I want to see against Illinois, what I didn't really get a chance to see against Michigan is play some clean football, minimize the mistakes, minimize the procedural penalties, the turnovers, things like that. Have, flip that time of possession, run the ball, maintain control, and just be dominant and send everybody home that's in orange and blue. Just send them home crying, because that's what I really want. Crying. No, here's the thing. In Illinois, they don't care enough to cry. That's why I, I was cognizant of the fact there was an Illinois football team, but nobody in my neck of the woods cared. So,
who was the player during a press conference this week that said we're going to find out who is one of us or who's with us, and what made that statement? Was it Phelan Sanford?
Could have been. I know he did talk this week.
Yeah.
And he's been around and he's put in his time for sure.
And apparently they have one of us t-shirts that they're wearing, or stuff that says one of us on it. And I think that really what's going to come down to is this Illinois game is we're going to find out who really is one of us. And that means one of them, one of the guys that wants to win, one of the guys that wants to move forward with anything and do what's required to be a good football player for the University of Nebraska. I had a thought this week, and I'm going to share it with you. And it's kind of a stretchy thought. And that just flew out of my head, and I have to go find it. Wait a minute, over here. You know how people say Nebraska needs to learn how to win?
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's something easy. And I thought, well, every time we watch a quarterback go back to pass, we draw a breath or we fucking skip a beat in our heart, shit like that. That's the same thing as them learning how to win. And I think once that feeling gets over for us, it'll probably get over for them. Now, maybe that's a stupid correlation. Maybe it's something that really doesn't jive well together. But on the other hand, I think that, they got to figure this out, and then we got to have, I guess, gain confidence in their ability to do that too. Maybe they do correlate. Maybe they do go together. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Kind of dumb or not?
No, I don't think it's dumb at all. I think there's a lot to it. It's just finding, being able to flip that switch and going from thinking you can win to knowing you can win and knowing how to win by finishing teams in the fourth quarter. I think, until they do it, I think that doubt from, all the recent years' failures will always linger in their minds until they can push it out. And that's just, I think, human nature. But this would be a great, get right game. So we'll see.
Gotta love this comment from David Matney. Learning how to win would be a lot easier if we learned how to block.
That is probably the comment of the night.
That's really a book title right there. That's pretty good. Yeah. That is pretty good.
Michael Hansen kind of doubles down, I should say. Trench play will be fun to watch this game. Nice indicator for us. And here's what I really do think, and I Joel is in agreement, or I'm in agreement with Joel. The next 4 games are very winnable, but you just got to do what you play to your strengths. And if anybody listened or went back and watched the coordination overreaction with myself and Haas from a couple of days ago, Haas's big takeaway about Marcus Satterfield is that he is trying to game plan. He's not in a mold. He's not, all right, we're going to do this amount of time, and then we're going to do this amount of time. He is strategizing for every opponent to that opponent. So I have a feeling that he's going to this could be a game similar to Northern Illinois, or Louisiana. It's going to be very run heavy, I feel. And I wish we had all of our running backs healthy. About all I can say about that. But what, John?
We have newfound running back Joshua Fleeks.
Yeah. With one run.
There you go.
Well, hey, You know what?
It's one more than
he
the other
has-
guys had.
Yeah, maybe if his second runs 50 yards, we'll be all like, God, guy didn't make it 70. Hell, I'd be for that.
Fred is not wrong. He says what's infinitely frustrating about this team is that our division has been winnable for years, and we just play down to the level of ineptitude.
Good God.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Can't disagree with that.
And Russell Mavis says, love here Will Compton's perspective. Long story short, goes from getting our shit pushed in to the opportunity is there to win the West, and it starts Friday. Yeah, I mean, realistically, the division's still up for grabs.
And this is the last year of divisions, right?
Right.
So you better get it while the getting's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's not entirely true. There will be divisions. They will be the good from the bad.
Yes. Well,
And
that's
I
true.
honestly, from what it looks like now, going into next season, it literally will be the good and the bad because there really won't be you're just average. That it just seems like that isn't even going to exist. You know?
Yeah, you're probably right.
All right. It's come to that point in the show. We've almost held hostage Brett long enough. Throw
Yes.
your predictions in the comments. We have a few already. We'll talk about some of those longer ones. Sam says Nebraska will do one of two things this week. Either we'll come out flat again and we can kiss winning again the rest of this year. Goodbye, or we will come out on fire and absolutely curb stomp the fleeing Illini.
Look it up. It's brutal.
I don't that's a young man's man. We all know what a curb stomp is.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's the reason why I won't watch American History X anymore. I mean,
It's the reason why I'll watch Family Guy, because watching Stewie do it to his father is hilarious.
Oh. Hey, wait a minute. Wait, some guy had a comment. I missed it that says we can't win without an offense. Iowa has been winning for years without an offense. I mean, it's really hard, but you can actually win games without an offense. This would be a damn good game for our defense to start scoring.
Yeah. Go all Terrell Farley on him. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'm looking for more predictions. Okay. All right. Here's some. Michael Hansen says Nebraska 21, Illinois 10. It should be a defensive battle. Illinois will have 2 turnovers. Nebraska will have 1. Harburg should break out and run well and pass efficient. Do you like this assessment? I do, because you've just done my homework for me.
Works for me. Let's go, Michael. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. Checking one more. Thank you, Russell. Husker Chuck. That makes me sad. All right. Nope. I don't know why Tiger Shark Divers canceled again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. You guys are no help. Fred, we're not there yet. Oh, 5 sharks. Fred, come on.
5 sharks.
Oh my God. Okay.
I you know what? I just think I hope that he
God.
just sits back and enjoys the making us giggle. All right. So speaking of Fred, Nebraska 21, Illinois 10. Bielema has 6 turnovers, 4 Big Macs, and a quart of gravy.
Wow.
Good times. All right. Justin says Nebraska 24, Illinois 13. And that is the same score that David Matney gives, 24-13. Caleb Ward says Nebraska 21-18. Mike says Nebraska 27, Illinois 24 with a GBR tucked on for good measure.
Ooh, maybe an Alvano field goal to win it. That'd be nice.
Let's not do that to the kid. He couldn't hit one.
I'm rooting for him.
I'm rooting for him too, but
I'm rooting for him.
He has to do it at some point.
Yeah.
Richard says 23-20 Nebraska in an ugly game where we score some ridiculous touchdown as time expires.
Okay. I'll take it.
I know you will. Making sure. I think I've got everybody. Some of them are doubled up. If I didn't highlight or star your most recent ones, because I'm pretty sure you already commented and I already read it. If not, I apologize. And we'll catch you next week or 2 weeks. Russell says Nebraska 38, Illinois 17. Just played it on NCAA 14. 2 defensive touchdowns.
There you go.
That is guaranteed a surefire win. Husker Chuck says I would take winning 8-7 with 4 safeties.
That's the defense scoring right there.
I would be depressed. I don't know how I would explain that to my son. He's like, Dad, the ball's supposed to go down the field. It is. James Boardman says Nebraska 31, Illinois 10. Come on now, James. I know you typed that out just to make it that I had to say it like that, and that's not nice. Sam says Nebraska 34-9.
I like that score.
Owen says, hey, fuckers.
Sup, Owen.
And Jeff says 24-17 Illinois.
Oh.
So with that, Brett, what? Oh, hold on. Owen says 27-24 Nebraska. And also, hey, fuckers. Brett, we'll start with you. You are a guest of honor.
I'll go 28-13 Nebraska.
John?
I'm going to go 24-14 because, we really haven't shown that we can score a lot on offense. But I expect our defense to return to form and play good rush defense and pick off a couple passes because, I think that the guys that are going to show up and play football, one of us, that has to come out Friday night, and I believe it will. I just, either that or you just go, okay, well, I guess we'll start already getting rid of players this year. Basically, Rule, if we don't win this game, I would expect Matt Rule is going to do the quiet quitting thing with players and just start playing freshmen and sophomores everywhere more than he already has. So 24-14 Nebraska.
Let's go.
I think that this is going to be a game where maybe it's close in the first half, and then Nebraska will pull away in the second half. As we have, joked, maybe not the fourth quarter, but the third quarter could be big. I'm going to say something like 35-17. I'd be all right doubling them up on their home field. It's not impossible. It's just, you just gotta get over that mental hurdle, I think. Have y'all ever seen the movie Simon Pegg and Thandie Newton, Run, Fat Boy, Run?
No, I know the movie, but I haven't seen it.
It is a tremendous. It's about a guy who's just trying to get back in shape. He quit smoking. He tries to run like the London Marathon or something, and he's right there towards the edge. And there's a figurative brick wall in front of him, and he's like, I can't go on. It's all about pushing through past your self-imposed barriers. So underrated movie. I highly recommend it. I'd tell you what streaming service it was on, but I'm not going to look that up. So I say 35-17 Nebraska. Hopefully it's about a 2 hour, 45-minute drive back to my home from Champaign. And it's my hope that my son falls asleep on the way home, but also that it's a victorious ride back home. So, all right, that is it for the show. I will say this, Sam Roberts, because he is a kicker, he knows that Alvano's first home miss was wide left, next was wide right. It's all in his head. He also followed up and said he has great technique. So
there you go. Yeah, I think he's gonna get it sorted out.
Yeah, no, I was just kidding. So let's take it. Everything I say with a grain of salt as we should.
Kickers are people too.
Not really. I mean, no offense, Sam. James Marshall says Illinois. Wait.
James.
All right. I'm not going to publicly shame him, but I encourage you in the comments to do that. I had to do a double take with that. So, all right. That is it for this episode of the Five Heart Podcast. And we thank you all for joining us. We thank especially Brett Baker for being here with us tonight and spending the last, 90 minutes with us.
Yeah.
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 The check is in the mail as soon as John puts the stamp on it. So,
all right. Well, I'll tune back in next time for more bear punching and swearing.
That's what we're all. We're all here for the bear punching and the swearing. So.
Yeah, that's what we get down for. I mean, what the hell?
We got to leave our legacy.
The rest of the season.
There you go.
All right. John, it's always great visiting with you, sir. And Brett is always my friend. I will miss you in Champaign this time around. So
yeah, well,
go Clippers.
Cheer for the both of us.
I will be loud.
Good to see you, Brett.
You too, John.
For my friends here and for all of us at Coronation, we thank you for joining us either in the live video version on YouTube or in the podcast on your favorite podcast app. So until next time, here at the 5 Heart Podcast, we remind you each and every week that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. John?
Go Big Red!
That was loud.
That was a loud one. Yeah.